Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to Horror with Nadia. And today I'm really excited. I have a great panel. We're going to be talking about Terrifier 3. But before we get into that, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much to everybody who's helped me along the way. I'm going to bring in my panel so we can just get started. And just a warning to everyone, there will be spoilers for Terrifier 3. So if you don't want spoilers, come back later. Anyway, all right, let's get going. All right. Enzo. Oh, shoot. Hold on. I need one of those little, what are they called? The little the Streamlab things where you can like press the button and it does stuff for you.
Oh, a stream deck?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. Hello everybody. Enzo, Vex, Leona. Is that you?
I see what you did there.
Leon the clown.
How's it going, guys? How's your terrifying Friday? I tried there, but
great.
Terra Friday.
Friday.
I woke up an hour ago, so far so good.
Nice. I'm quite tired. I'm in the midst of scripting my Terrifier 3 review, but then I got distracted by Stardew Valley. So
that's a good balance. That's a good balance between Stardew and then Terrifier. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
How are you, Leona?
If you couldn't tell, I've been practicing my makeup skills. I don't know how my voice is coming out on mic. I probably can't do this the whole show. I was gonna try. I was all like, no, I'm gonna try for this whole, but no, I don't even know how you guys could hear what I was saying. I'm good. I'm great. I loved this. I'm so happy to be a part of this. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for a long time, I was an anti-Terrifier girl.
Mm-hmm.
For a very long time. And I will still stick to it. It is not until Act 3 of Terrifier 2 that I've hooked, even because I saw a double feature. I think Vex saw a double feature.
Yep.
Enzo, you just saw the third one, and Leon just the third one, correct? Yeah. Last night.
I mean, I've seen them all, but like last night, I just saw the third one. Yes.
Yeah,
I watched the first two at home before I went out
the third and the first, because I came home and I watched the first afterwards because I needed more art in my life last night.
I still don't like the first one. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I mean the leap of quality from the first to third one is crazy, but a lot of my horror buff friends, they don't like Terrifier 2. The third act is where it starts to lose them, and I'm like, oh okay. Yeah,
I think it's kind of badass when Sienna goes up against Art. I don't, and I like the introduction of it being almost different worldly, right? So, like some sort of supernatural effect to it. So
that's really what saves the first movie at the very end when he comes back from the dead. You realize like, oh, okay, there's some supernatural going on. That's cool. Okay,
I disagree. Oh, so in hindsight, it's fine. But when the first one was the only one that was out and it ended like that, I thought that was a bullshit cop out because there's nothing in the film up to that point that led you to believe he was supernatural. The opening scene is him putting on all his makeup and stuff. So you assume he's just a dude.
Okay.
Go ahead, Vex. I'll bring up these chats.
Okay. So I've seen all the other art. So there's the 3 mainline Terrifier films, right? And then there's
All Hallows Eve.
Yeah, All Hallows Eve. Then there's also the Ninth Circle, which is the short film that Damien Leone made that introduces Art the Clown for the first time. Now, in this movie makes all of that canon, by the way, because before it was kind of like, oh, All Hallows Eve, you can separate it from the Terrifier trilogy. But now this movie makes it all canon. So in the Ninth Circle, it's like a 15-minute fan film. You can find it on YouTube. But it's not a cop-out because it's introduced that there is something demonic or Art might be a demon in that because he kidnaps a woman and he literally takes her to a dungeon in hell where we do meet Satan and he's drinking like baby's blood from a vial and whatnot. So it's just like the first Terrifier film didn't it didn't incorporate that element until the end. Then you see a little bit more of it drip into 2, especially when you get kind of into like the angel warrior kind of imagery. But then the third one, I don't know if we can jump right in because this is a little bit of an issue I had with the third one.
Spoilers are up, so jump right in. Go ahead.
So Damien Leone has previously said, I don't know if it was by accident, if it was just slip of the tongue, but he said that Art is a demon. And then in this film, the explanation is that no, Satan basically needs someone to host, essentially, so that they can, like, he can keep spreading evil. And Art was once a serial killer, so that's why he chose Art. And through Art, he's able to, like, take over more people, which is why Victoria Hayes, that victim from the first film and partially in the second film, now she's here in the third, and she's kind of like Art's, I don't want to say love interest, even though there's, like, they allude to a sexual attraction between, like, her and Art, like a one-way, but she's more of a companion. Yeah. So I'm just like, I'm a little bit confused on the lore now with this film, because I was under the assumption that Art was a demon, and he was kind of like one of Satan's, like, lowly spawns, or what's the word I'm looking for? Not companions, but like workers or whatever. Minions. There we go.
Minion.
Yeah. I was under the assumption that he was quite literally one of the devil's minions, but then they quickly just throw in that explanation, which I did not like how quickly that came in, and then just kind of left the rest of the movie, because it's never really revisited again. Whereas, like, when you look at Terrifier 2, there's, like, those little, like, cutaway scenes, like, especially with Jonathan, where he's investigating the Miles County massacre and all of that stuff, and he starts connecting the dots. So the film consistently is reinforcing this and revisiting it. Whereas the third film, there's that, we see Sienna read a letter real quick. Then there's the exposition dump when she's talking to Jonathan in the campus cathedral. And then it's just like a portal opens.
Which, you say exposition dump, we often use that as a bad thing. I actually think it was done for a horror. It was a really well done exposition dump, which is so rare these days.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible, don't get me wrong. Like, I could still but I just didn't like that it was, like, kind of a one and done until we see the hell portal at the very end of the film. I would have liked that they explored that a little bit better, especially since we kind of, like, see this, like, Cenobite dude, like, in one of Sienna's dreams or, like, flashbacks. But this is where the thing is, perhaps this is, like, when 4 comes out, this will explain all of it.
Yeah.
I have a question. With reference to that, did they also allude to the fact that Art, when he was human, he was the massacre killer of those children? Like, it was briefly discussed about some dude that. Okay, so very like Friday the 13th, not Friday, Nightmare on Elm Street kind of reference going on there.
Yeah, so, like, the little girl that he sees throughout 2 is alluded to be his first victim. I don't know if that's meant to be, like, him being crazy and seeing that, if that's, like, the devil taking a form to kind of guide or speak to Art. Because, like, she doesn't make an appearance here at all, and Victoria doesn't take that role at all. So
yeah, I was kind of hoping she'd come back, the little girl. She was creepy. But it seems like in both 2 and 3, there seems to be, like, some kind of, like, you know, Art is the killer, but then there seems to be some kind of wrangler character. And yeah, Victoria at first seems to be kind of like a groupie, but then later you realize, like, she's actually Miss Daisy, and you know, Art is Morgan Freeman kind of reaction. But I thought that you know, I didn't mind her kind of taking the driver's seat for a little bit towards the end, because I guess she's not coming back, Victoria. So I thought it was, and also Art doesn't talk, so I'd much rather have Victoria kind of say some stuff than Art start talking. You know, that would have been really bad. So I'm glad that she kind of takes the driver's seat. She's kind of like the possessed by a demon, and you know, and then the big final scene in the house, I mean, I thought it was pretty great for being kind of very contained and reserved. And then it just goes off the rails, like, once the portal opens. Like, you're like, okay.
So for anyone that like when you watch the first one, and honestly even the second one to an extent, that's why I don't really care for the ending. I don't really mind Victoria taking the reins, like you said. However, it's done in such an over the top way. It is, if you watch the first Terrifier movie, then just watch the third act of this, it's just like 2 totally different. There's no tonal consistency, and that does sort of annoy me. Like but it'd be the same as watching like Evil Dead and then just going right into Army of Darkness. There's that gap that needs bridged there, and and again, Evil Dead and Army of Darkness are my favorite horror movies of all time. So I feel kind of bad giving that comparison, but it felt tonally weird. It really did.
You know what? I disagree with you a little bit there, just because I feel like this is more Damien Leone showing that he's growing as a creative. So like,
right.
The jump from like 1 you can kind of view as a standalone film, and then 2 is where he really starts to try to develop an actual movie. Like, let's be honest, Terrifier.
I totally agree.
Right, like Terrifier 1 isn't an actual movie. It's basically torture.
It's a tech
porn.
demo.
Right.
Yeah, special effects demo, exactly.
Right, and then he introduces Sienna Shaw, and this is where we get like a little bit of lore, and we get actual character development, and then finally in the third, it feels like he's kind of coming into his own. So like tonally, I think it works. I think the gap that's missing is I actually did mind a little bit that Victoria took more of the driver's seat, just because that bitch didn't really need to talk that much. She could have talked less.
Yeah.
It felt like it took away from Art, and he had the chainsaw, he had the mutilated uncle on the wall, like he was doing all this cool shit, and she's just yapping. I'm like, no, just show me Art. He's the reason why I'm watching this film. But then just kind of like
I agree in that instance. Yeah. Her talking isn't the problem; it's her being the leader that's the problem.
Yeah, well, there we go. Yeah,
but is it because she kind of kills herself, right, and then kind of doesn't? She comes back like 5 years later. Does she come back like more demonic, like when that happens, or I don't know? I mean, weirdness.
In Christianity and Catholic, if you kill yourself, you go to hell. It's just as basic as it is. So it could be that she just killed herself, went to hell, came back as a demon.
I just was kind of under the assumption that like whatever is controlling Art, which I think like Art is kind of like the first contact for whatever that is now kind of seeping through Art, and it's taking control of Victoria because it knows that, it can use that. So she didn't ever really die, just like how Art never really died at the end of the first film kind of deal. It's like vines. It's like vines growing on a house sort of deal. You could try and cut it, but another one is going to like pop up sort of deal.
For me, like I said before, it's reminding me of like Metalocalypse or The Stand. Like Metalocalypse is a silly show about a death metal band, but you know, at the end of each season, you realize there's little kernels of like this brewing war between good and evil and heaven and hell that's happening. It's like way more epic than it seems. It's the same thing with Art the Clown. Like it's a killer clown going on a rampage, but actually, it's like basically like I think like the seeds of the apocalypse are happening right now. We don't even realize it. I like that kind of stuff. It's very supernatural and metaphysical. It gives it more than just like your standard mindless slasher film kind of vibe. Like he is trying to say stuff with religious allegories and all these other things with the director anyway. Like the crown of thorns and Santa Claus and all that stuff was very intentional.
The Mary statue wigging out too, that wigged me out. Actually more terrifying than what anything Art did the entire movie.
No, the most terrifying part is the glass shard masturbation. Fuck.
Hearing the audience, like the teenage girls sitting row behind me, just like laughing and squirming and freaking out during that scene was like worth the price of admission.
How do you laugh during that? I'm not.
I think everyone was laughing. I think
I was freaking out. Like I was like, just shifting uncomfortably in my chair. I was like holding.
I told you, dude. My bits went so far in me that they probably touched my tonsils because I just like clenched up. I was like, oh my God.
When I saw Art and Victoria running around, it reminded me of me and my ex Shelby just going to karaoke and being like monsters together. It was great.
The glass thing too included as well?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to. Oh, it's all right. I just want to kind of go through characters, kind of their arcs throughout this, and we can continue to have the conversation. But what did everybody think of Sienna's story as it's continued? Because I was actually a little worried that her character wasn't going to get as much screen time, or she was going to become too much, like overly annoying to be on screen as the final girl. I really thought they were going to kill her off at a couple points too.
Like I was sorry, finish yours.
No, go ahead. That's what what's everybody's thoughts on Sienna throughout this?
I was worried they were going to kill her off and have the little girl become the new angel, which I'm glad they didn't do. But
I'm glad I think annoying.
Yeah, and again, it's like everyone bashes on this like girl boss, female empowerment stuff, which this movie kind of has. You got Art kind of taking the backseat to his female companion, and Sienna's basically the end all angel warrior, the secret to everything, whatever. but I don't mind it in this movie because honestly, this movie kind of needs a little bit of a feminine touch based after the last two movies. It kind of need
It
to.
helps that she's the best actress in the movie.
Yeah.
Is Art asexual? Because
I think so.
Yeah.
When I say like him and Victoria are together, I get like an elementary school type boyfriend and girlfriend.
He
Like
he went like, no, that's shamed. Like,
although when the chick earlier says later in the film goes, well, I don't want to fuck him. When talking about Art, he's like,
yeah. Dude, the audience was loving him. Like he's laughing, they were laughing. Like during the big family torture scene when he every once in a while he'd slap Sienna over the head. Both times I got like a huge laugh.
Okay, my audience was laughing out loud throughout the whole film. But during that scene, like he slaps her on the head, nothing. Slaps her the second time, nothing. That third slap, I audibly laugh out loud. I'm like, oh my god, this is a great running joke. But I was the only one that laughed in that moment in my whole fucking theater. I was like, wow, you guys have been laughing this whole time. How fucked up am I? He only did was smack her on the head. Like
everybody in my theater laughed during those 3 slaps.
You gotta laugh at a movie like this because it doesn't take itself very seriously, and it's like it's so violent, it's so over the top. Like, how can you not kind of laugh as a automatic kind of like coping response? But what I loved is
the movie they're legitimately funny that did cause the audience to like laugh out loud. Like there's moments of comedy in this that are really well written. Like,
dude, you got a Clint Howard and a Tom Savini cameo. Clint Howard and Tom Savini make cameos. That's like a seal of approval right there.
What, you don't like Chris Jericho?
Oh yeah, he was in the second one too. Yeah,
that's true. He was in the second one. Yeah.
I wanted to bring up this comment because he says I heard a lot about the opening scene making people sick. What happened? I actually don't think the opening scene was the worst out of the entire movie.
It's killing children, and I love that they involve children in this movie, and children get killed like left and right. And it's fun. It's a movie. I mean, everyone's having fun. The kids probably had fun making it, but it is super hardcore. Like when you talk about like little kids getting brutally murdered.
Woogie Woo? Like, did you ever hear the song Boogie Woogie Woo by Insane Clown Posse? The opening scene is just basically that song, but put the film. Like,
okay. Yeah. I love Art the Clown, dude. He's totally cemented himself as one of the big horror icons because he's like Jason plus Freddy. He's got like the non-verbal kind of very scary guy, but he's got this wicked sense of humor. But what I love about Art the Clown is that he's not opposed to using things like guns and bombs and driving cars, and he just he's like it's all on the table
when he
for
pulls
him.
out a gun and he's just like out of the blue just shoots it. But I'm just like,
that was shocking.
This is the first, especially in the second one when he did it to Sienna's mom. That was just like, it threw me off because I'm like, wait a minute, aren't slashers supposed to be about knives and like tools you can find?
Dude,
no,
in the first one,
use anything. Yeah, well, yeah. In the first one.
In the first one, when you think you got a final girl and she gets killed like right like in the halfway point of the movie, and then we switch off to Victoria. I mean, Art the Clown, he's just such a great creation. I was saying he belongs in Mortal Kombat. We're talking about all these Mortal Kombat DLC characters. He totally belongs in that Mortal Kombat universe. Like, he's like from the Nether Realm or whatever.
Just real quick, just back to Sienna since we're still on this photo of her. Yeah. No, you're good. You're good. I was a little bit afraid that 3 was going to turn out a lot like 2, whereas like as much as I enjoy that film, it is very drawn out and the pacing is pretty horrendous. There's a lot of instances where there are scenes that don't just need to be shown to develop Sienna. I actually think like he develops her pretty well. I don't mind the whole like, female taking, I didn't even see it as a female taking this over kind of thing, because Art still gets basically most of the kills. Victoria doesn't really shine until the very last scene where she's kind of just the mouthpiece essentially for whatever Art is doing. Like Art is still very much the one that she faces off with the, with the chainsaw and everything in the kitchen. But I like that she's not thrust into, girl boss status immediately this. Like she goes through a lot of struggle. She goes through quite a bit of loss. Like she completely breaks down more or less in the final scene of this film. And that's kind of what will now, I hope that he doesn't, again, thrust her straight into that role by the time 4 comes out. I was very happy with what they chose to do with her character, and it never seemed like it was too much, or he was dragging it out, or he was kind of desecrating the work he had done before. Like, I think what he did with Sienna was great. I was very pleased.
I liked all the.
Do you think that they didn't, because they do like that one table scene where the ghost chick from her past, like
the hallucination? That was great.
They never loop back to that, and I feel like, I don't know if that was, if you need to, or if it was intentional.
I think we're missing scenes, because I
agree.
There is some pacing parts of it. I'm like, wait a minute, something's missing here, and it just didn't flow well. I think it got cut down. I would be interested to see, as I hate to say it, but like a director's cut. But to your point, Vex, about Sienna, to me, she represents like what classic final girls used to be, like in the 80s and 90s, where they would have to go through these trials and tribulations to get to the point of being a final girl, instead of just being a badass just right off the gate.
Exactly. So I really appreciate that. And even sorry, what was the point you just fucking said? Oh my god, my brain just blanked. Yes.
Oh, she being a final girl from like the 80s and 90s, like the instead of the what we see nowadays with the Mary Sue final girl.
No, right before that. Right before that.
They cut
down scenes down.
And yeah. I was thinking about that too, because like especially the transition into the final scene was quite choppy. Like you can't, and even the transitions to like the dream sequences. Jonathan being quote unquote killed off screen. I don't think he's dead. I think that's all a facade. But
I wouldn't be surprised either.
I think we're going to get all this is why I think 4 will probably retroactively improve this movie, because even the way it ends, it's not even like a cliffhanger. I was very much expecting another scene after the house massacre, and it just kind of cuts. So I think if you were to watch 3 and 4 when it comes out together as one long film, it would fill in all of those instances where it feels like scenes were cut, things were a little bit shortened. I actually didn't mind that Brooke or like someone from her past only showed up once, because the second film spent so much time showing us how insecure Sienna was, all of these issues that she has around kind of anxiety and depression. The scenes that maybe we could have gotten, like her mom, for instance, those were filled in instead with development about her father, which I didn't mind at all, because that helped explain the lore pretty well. And the second film didn't do a great job of explaining why she was so close with her father, like why it was such a big deal that her dad passed away.
Do you think the third movie retroactively makes the second one better?
I do. And I think
maybe the fourth could do the same.
Exactly.
Third,
but like even then, I would still rank 3 well over 2, even though like the bedroom scene is peak. But it's just because like Damien Leone, he's figured out pacing, he's figured out character development, he's figured out how to balance developing his one character Sienna, as well as giving enough screen time to kind of the crazy kills and letting art be unhinged in all his glory. So like I do feel like this is kind of his best work to date, because he's figuring out his footing as a director.
Right. And I also found myself like not like usually like you got the kill scenes, the violent horror scenes, and then you've got these in-between scenes, the breather scenes. And I actually didn't mind them. I thought they were actually well written. I thought they had some good, banter, dialogue, getting to know the family. And then, of course, the hallucination scene. The hallucination scene happens, and that's the first time where you have like a horror element in the non-horror scene. And that's where it starts, like the horror world, the horror scenes and the breather scenes are like starting to merge. And then, you've got a lot of character, fun, quirky writing and stuff, and nice banter, and all that stuff was well written, and all the characters are fleshed out to enough degree where they're not just, hapless victims. And I did love how, Art the Clown running around just being a monster. It's nice and balanced with all that fun family stuff. It kind of reminded me of a Hacksaw Ridge. Like the first half of Hacksaw Ridge is very hokey and kind of like a Hallmark movie. And it makes sense, though, because the second half is so violent. So you got to kind of balance it out. And that's why, some of these, they literally feel like Christmas Hallmark movie scenes. Some of these early scenes, I like that, all that. It was great.
Well, I was not a fan of, at first, the early breather scenes, mainly because, I'm going to be real, the dude that plays the uncle, fucking terrible actor. There's a lot of emphasis on him during those scenes. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, can this dude deliver a line not like William Shatner? It was great. But then we get past that first, hallucination scene, and you start seeing like, they're at the mall and they're hanging out more with the younger cousin. I'm blanking on her name. And Gabby. Gabby, thank you. I started really enjoying those scenes. it was actually they actually were nice breather scenes. But man, those first 2 or 3 are kind of fucking rough because Christ, that dude can't act.
Yeah, I think another interesting thing was killing those big characters like the brother and the uncle off screen. I think that could have been that was an interesting choice.
I'm telling you, I think it was edited down. I think those scenes exist. I think just for timing purposes, and especially how big of a budget, and now that a studio is backing this and stuff, I think it just got chopped down. But I agree with all of you. I also noticed the difference in dialogue because I feel in the second one it was way more cheesier, very much like with the music in the background and stuff. Where this, it felt more natural between everybody in the dialogue, even with Victoria too, just a little bit better. And he's definitely improving on his writing skills with these, and his special effects skills as well. Mind you, he had a bigger budget, so you could spend a lot more money on stuff. But yeah, I thought Art's prosthetic, his face looked great. I thought Victoria looked great. I thought all of the gore scenes looked really great. Like, I couldn't even see seams, and when I can't see seams, I know that this stuff is done like with tedious timing on it.
But yeah, like I said, when you watch the first one, like you could tell like it's filmed on 16:9 digital. It's got the bad like kind of filter on it to make it look like film grain. And when you look at this one, it's like anamorphic widescreen. You've got the great, like, the classic, like, Hollywood lighting going on and stuff. And you've got that kind of halo glow on all the Christmas lights. It's got that kind of Steven Spielberg-esque kind of look to it. That kind of Vaseline.
Same palette from the second one to the third one too. The bright, weird, like pinkish colors, like especially in the mall scene where she's shopping for clothes, and that ugly, like, I don't even know what you would call it.
It's this like a similar color palette to Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, I could see that.
Very natural, saturated colors. But that's why in part 2, especially, is so great. Like when you go to the clown hell, whatever dream sequence, like it's so bright colored, and then the fact that Art the Clown just wears black and white. Like he kind of like stands out super hard in these like very colorful backgrounds and stuff. And that's why, I mean, putting him in the Santa outfit is obviously great. Cause like, he gets covered in red, and this time, you can't really tell. Whereas in the previous movies, like his black and white outfit gets so disgusting as the movie goes on. Yeah, I mean, I loved, I thought that was also a great, when they were first announcing it, like it's a Christmas movie this time. I'm like, hell yeah. Because you guys know I love those Christmas Hallmark movies, so just
I didn't know that about you. And
I do, because I love schlocky schlock, and the Hallmark movies, the Lifetime movies, are the new schlock, because they're trying to be good. I watched one recently called Autumn in Apple Hill. It was great. It was a Halloween movie. I recommend it.
I'm very okay. All right. I don't watch Hallmark movies, so never seen them.
Yeah, do a double feature with Autumn and Apple Hill and Terrifier 3. There you go.
She watches them year round.
Well, I was listening to some videos on art lore because I was interested, because it expanded more in this movie. And I guess Damien Leone based art a little bit on Pennywise, but wanted to do the opposite of Pennywise.
Yes.
Where Pennywise talks, Art doesn't. Pennywise has a more rounder face. Art has a more narrow. Pennywise has hair. Art doesn't. And the whole, like, he's very colorful, where Art is black and white. And I thought that was very interesting, because I do see a lot of King influences, but I think anybody who's growing up in being a horror director will have that kind of influence, natural into it. I also like
these movies are way better than any of the It films. I'll be real.
Yeah.
It is one of my favorite Stephen King books. I hate every adaptation I've ever done.
It sucks. I'm going to go ahead and say it.
We'll discuss that on another stream. But one note I have is, I guess the original idea for Art came from the fact that Leon wanted to see a clown versus a woman on the bus. And as the bus proceeds, people get off further and further, making her more uncomfortable with this clown on the bus, which I thought was great that they ended third with that. With him getting on the bus with this woman reading the book, and she's obviously very uncomfortable.
It's a straight callback to not, because if you watch The Ninth Circle, it's the same thing, except instead of on a bus, it's in like a train station, and now you see the actual bus thing come to life, and she's even reading a Ninth Circle book, which I thought was really hilarious as well. But there's another callback, which is when he sees like the Cenobite dude, like, because we saw all these demons in the Ninth Circle short film, and we haven't seen any since, unless you want to count the little girl and maybe Victoria Hayes, but none of them are quite as like grotesque and stuff as all of those other demons, though. I mean, there were some witches in the Ninth Circle that kind of have a similar face layout to Victoria, but not as grotesque. That makes sense.
Oh, speaking of Victoria, so I after the third one, I went home, rewatched the first. The makeup skills and like obviously it's probably because there's a bigger budget behind it, whatnot. But her face is so much like the design is relatively the same, but it's so much more fucked up and grotesque and well done in this one than it was and it looks good in the original. The original still holds up, but damn, compare the way she looks in the first to this one, and it's you could see the game and stepped up, bro.
Oh yeah, there was a lot more dynamic to her face this time around, and I actually really appreciated that she kind of goes through like stages of rot sort of deal, which made her like far creepier. Also, for those watching, this is not Rob Schneider. This is Victoria Hayes.
This is not the chimp attack victim. This is someone else.
Listen, I don't know how to get rid of ads. Okay, leave me alone.
No, it was funny that as you adjust the picture, Rob Schneider gets bigger. I was like, wait, Rob Schneider's ugly, but he's not that ugly.
Yeah, Rob Schneider is a versatile actor, man. I didn't realize Rob Schneider played Victoria.
Okay, all right, I get it. Okay,
well, that's fine.
Moving on.
I did have. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
No. I liked Victoria's design. I thought it was definitely a big improvement. Because I'll be honest, when I watched the second one, I did not watch the end credit scene. So I did not know about her giving birth to Art's head until last night.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even know Chris Jericho was in the second one until last night.
Did anybody else wait for a stinger for this one and you were kind of disappointed there wasn't one?
Yes, I was quite disappointed. Yeah.
I knew there wasn't one because my theater turned the lights on immediately when the credits started rolling. I was like, oh, okay, no one credits scene.
There was a music video at the end, though.
Is it the Ice 9-inch?
Yeah, whatever? The Ice 9 Kills music video was at the end. Because my theater did the same thing. They turned on the lights, but then as soon as the music video started, they turned the lights back off.
I saw that. Yeah, the
really?
music video was good.
Yeah. I did have a. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I had a question about this scene. Because it starts off like 5 years ago, right? And it's back to the asylum where
Black Christmas.
Right. And then it's just like they go and find this abandoned house, and it's almost like they go into hibernation until these two demolition guys like come in to inspect the property. So I just wanted to ask you guys like what your take on that was, because my interpretation was because the events of Terrifier 2 were so like physically taxing on Art, and he literally had to be, well, figuratively had to be reborn, that he like needed to like go into a hibernation phase to kind of like recuperate his powers, or like so Satan could recuperate this form in which he's kind of like taken over and started controlling, and they weren't going to wake up until these two demolition guys came in.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you remember how they said the house is where this supposed murderer had buried all these
rumor.
kids? Yeah. And we're alluding to that. That's what Art was when he was a human before he became like whatever he is. Maybe this is his, in a case, like tomb, kind of like a Dracula thing where he has to go back to that because it's soiled ground, right? It's soiled ground, and he has to recoup there and then be woken up again.
It's not actually a rumor. Like, this is like, because Art's the killer for all those children that we found out in the second film.
That's my theory. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Because the guy says, "Oh, I'm fucking with you, of course," but I'm like, man, I feel like he was, he didn't make that up on the spot, like it seemed like
it's probably years of people using it as like an urban legend about the house and stuff, and it's probably based off true facts, right? Some kind of case that happened, and like in the second one, we saw those the newspaper clippings. So my assumption was, he's he's literally going back to his so cold coffin, like his soul.
I'm using that in my review now, Nadia. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I also,
Well,
yeah, I mean,
you know-
even on a surface level, it works too, because like just the idea that he just sits there and does nothing for 5 years is funny, and it also kind of does clarify to anyone who didn't see the first two that yes, he doesn't need to eat or drink or do any of that stuff. He's we're talking about something otherworldly here.
Yeah.
You gotta really hammer that to all the kids in the audience. Oh man, I can't believe how many kids were in my showing. That's great.
I just want to address this. Blue, I know, super chats. I get it. I just got to get watch hours, my guy. So just play my playlist in the background. I'm halfway through watch hours. So once I get that, I'll be monetized.
I do want to say something about his. So you're doing the stream the other day. The one Enzo was on it. That shitty ass Stephen King movie. I don't even remember the fucking name of. Salem's Lot. And I was like, I can't fucking super chat or fine. Let's go to the buy me a popcorn thing or whatever it was. And the whole fucking website was in a language I didn't understand. I was like, does she have this in her sand bunny language first and foremost? And I don't know why. So I had to know. I was like, oh wait, no, I can change the language. And I changed it to English. And I was like, oh, so this is how you do it. Like, I had no fucking idea how to send a donation or anything because it was in a completely like different language. I don't know if
I got
or what.
I got rid of Buy Me a Coffee. I just put PayPal now, and then I have Venmo as well on there just for now until I get monetized. So anyway, back to Terrifier 3. By the way, Vex, you can also add the fact that most vampire lore is that you have to have dirt, soil from like the land. So that's probably similar to. So there you go.
He takes so much inspiration from other like iconic horror films and icons that it makes sense that he would take that one too. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. What do we think about Jonathan being okay, before we talk about Jonathan dead or not, I think he was the weakest character out of the legacy characters in this movie. I really can't stand the niece or the cousin, but I really don't think he got a lot of screen time.
Sounds like this.
Oh,
I fucking hate the guy's voice.
I loved his like interaction. I love the podcast girl. I thought she was great.
I was like, calling all of us out.
Oh yeah, I loved it. And I also loved, he's kind of. That's why I'm kind of in Vex's boat. Like, are we sure that he's actually dead? What would we have thought if that actually was Gabby's head in that cage? Like, that would have been a little bit too much, I think. So I'm glad that they revealed that it was Jonathan's, but still, it's kind of rough.
Because like in that final scene, like there's so much intention put there to like you see the uncle there, you see the aunt there sitting. So like for them to kill off a character that even throughout this film, Sienna is always kind of worrying about and wanting to get back in touch with. And there's a whole scene where she's shopping for a Christmas gift for him. It doesn't make sense that he would just kill him off screen and leave it like that. So my thinking is that, he probably lost his glasses because he lost his glasses in the second one too, right? But he's probably in that hell hole that Gabby got stuck in. And so the next film, we'll see Sienna actually go to hell. And
that's what I'm hoping.
Rescue them.
Go to hell and rescue your family.
I've been thinking about this literally since it happened in the movie, and I still think this is a better idea. Rather than Gabby getting sent to hell. So when Victoria's Victoria's whole thing was like, oh, I'm going to possess you, Sienna. Like, that's her whole fucking goal. And then when it's not working and, like, her face starts coming, you see the mist coming out of her stump neck. I thought it was going to infect Gabby, and, like, that'd be the ultimate blow to Sienna. It's like, you know what? If I can't have you, I'll take your little cousin. And I thought that's what would go down. But no, instead, Gabby's
on the table.
To hell.
Yeah, it's still on the table.
I guess that's true, but, yeah, that's fair.
I'm actually okay with it because there was quite a bit that went down in that last one, and also like it would because like there were a lot of instances in the first those first few Terrifier films where like Art likes to drag out his kills. So like I'm hoping that he saves it to drag it out in front of Sienna was my thinking. Like it would be in line with his character to do that.
Then whose head was that?
Oh, but it could be anyone. Like we know that he killed he killed a bunch of college students and whatnot. Like it probably was that podcast girl, is what I'm thinking.
That was something I was upset was when he goes to the frat party. I was hoping he'd kill like a whole lot of frat kids. He just killed the two and kind of left.
I was surprised at following up from that mall scene. I was like, okay, so we're going for group killing this
Dude,
time
the
around.
mall
Sure.
terrorist bombing scene was like
was wild.
and
I did not.
it's not just like it's not just blowing up a bunch of children who are waiting in line for Santa. It's also like that one mother who survives and you just hear her screams, no, it's like the whole shopping center's on fire. Because that to me is like the real terror. It's not the gore, it's watching your whole family get murdered in front of you,
Oh yeah,
and the fact the movie had the balls to show the kid open the present, like his charred remains falling over.
Yeah.
God damn, son.
Oh, the axe step little boy at the beginning of the movie was also great. I mean, it's just so hardcore. Like, I don't know if you guys watch like actual like gore videos, like cartel videos, but it's not about getting your head chopped off with a chainsaw. It's about watching your family get their heads chopped off with a chainsaw first. That's the real
the pain of
terror.
it all. Yeah, exactly.
The loss.
So and like
that's kind of what Homegirl was saying. Like, it's like, I'm gonna take everything from you, and that kind of shit happens to people in real life.
Exactly.
Crazy sick motherfuckers kill your whole family in front of you and torture you. Like, it's like that's hardcore. And what can you do but laugh, when you watch it in a movie?
And if art is indeed like a possessed serial killer, that would also be in line with what a lot of serial killers have previously done in the past on top of that. So I think I actually didn't mind that he didn't mow down a whole bunch of college kids or frat kids.
I did. That's so many less liberals we would have in the world if it actually happened. It would have been so great.
A lot of kids are based these days, frat boys especially.
Right. I was thinking more that it's like it's very clear that Art is on the trail for Sienna. So he's finding people that have a connection to Sienna instead of just going on a murderous rampage. So that's how I justified it.
I think he was looking for Jonathan. That's what I was thinking when he went to that frat party. But I bet I think it's probably on the editing floor. I bet there is somewhat of a scene where he goes on a
kind of like that foot in this shot right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Can we talk about the shower scene real quick? Because like I have
Alien 3. Alien 3?
The Alien 3. Like I didn't think, well, first of all, because I'm trying to figure out which scene it is. Like, oh, even David Howard Thornton was like wheezy on set. And I don't think it was this scene because again, the bedroom scene is really the peak. And the reason that one hits so hard is because it's like a 10-minute scene where we're watching this girl get brutally torn apart by this one guy in this very like innocent and clean bedroom. And the shower scene, it kind of felt like, first of all, the innocence factor is lost because it's like this girl that you kind of hate having sex with kind of a nice, like, meathead. But the scene felt really short, like it was cut down too much. So like the intensity of it didn't land the same way, even though it was still really intense. We saw a guy's gooch get like sawed up.
I feel like that was the sacrifice. Like we sacrificed some length so we can see an actual dick and balls get sliced in half by a chainsaw. I feel like that's the give and take here.
I'm with you, Vex. Everybody was like, yeah, there's going to be gore in this. That's going to be worse than the bedroom scene. I think it was very top of the line gore in this. I don't think anything really in this tops that bedroom scene. Because
for me, like the ripping the face open scene was pretty hardcore, but it was too quick,
From 2, you walk away and people will always go, oh, did you see that bedroom scene? Or even with 1, it was like, oh, split bone tomahawking the girl, right?
Yeah.
2 is like, oh, that's the scene. In this, there's quite a bit, but there's nothing that I'll say, ooh, tops that bedroom scene.
There's nothing like iconic to this movie, but like it's like, but at the same time, it's weird because, like you said, it's not like all of it was bad or like was toned down. It's just there's the bar is so high.
The worst scene in this movie was like not off screen, but like the masturbation scene, which is not really full frontal and shown, but still that got a huge reaction out of people. But still, like, nothing gore heavy.
The mom, like, let's be real. They, tube down the throat, breaking.
Still, it's not because I think the bedroom scene in 2, because it's slowly drawn out and stuff, and it's a girl that comes off very nice, very innocent too, and the fact that she's alive when her mother comes home to see that kind of deal, like it's almost like it realistically could happen to you. Like somebody could break into your home and do this to you. Where I feel anything in this is kind of over the top gore, there's a little bit of realism, but not as much as that bedroom scene.
Yeah,
it's not, like I said, it's not like ripping off the arm or scalping her face or dissecting her. It's the fact that mom comes home and sees it and she's still alive. That's the part that freaks everyone out. That's the worst. You can't imagine that happening to you or someone you care about. It's so hardcore.
Very Ed Gein kind of. Yeah. Like, to me, the bedroom scene is something, again, could happen to someone, right? Maybe not to the degree that Art did, but like pouring bleach on someone, salt, scalping them, cutting them, slowly torturing somebody. Because we have cases like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing in this to me.
In the shower scene, there was a specific moment when he's chainsawing up the dude's ass, where there was like a skin flap from his back flapping around. That was pretty like chef's kiss right there.
I did appreciate too that, like, because I remember, like, from 1 and 2, like, whenever he would like open, like when he was beating Brooke, for example, right, when he beats her chest in at the fairground, like, it just like you could tell it's a prop, and then it's just kind of like a mess of things in there to look like intestines. But I do like that when that guy gets sawed open, you see like a full stomach, you see a liver, you see all
of budget, baby.
Yeah,
that's budget being increasing.
And also props to Damien, the director. He was saying that all the financiers, all the big production companies wanted a piece of it after Terrifier 2, and he said no. Still gonna make this indie. Still going to raise the money myself, still going to do the makeup myself. He's like Tech 9, like he's going to do everything himself, so nothing gets censored, And
that's where
great reference.
Yeah, that's where this movie really shines. Like, you still feel like this is Damien Leone. This still feels like Terrifier. It's just better production quality Terrifier. Like,
totally.
There's never a moment where I feel like, oh, just because he got the budget and he got the big studio, that this is no longer what I kind of fell in love with. It's so like he's found a very good harmony in production as well here.
Do you think he would be up for line with these major studios offering him like legacy horror IPs to direct, such as like Christopher Landon, who did the Happy Death Days, walked away from Scream? I would love to see him. I would love to see Leone did like maybe a Friday the 13th. I know Halloween just recently had its run through, but do you think he would be set up for a good legacy IP? And what legacy IP would you want him to do?
Well, obviously, it'd be great for any slasher movies, but I mean, how much pushback is he going to get from what he wants to do?
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I like to see him do something totally out of the wheelhouse next. Or obviously, I want to see him do Terrifier 4 next. But it'd be great if he just did a random rom-com, or did Robert Rodriguez just do like a family film, like a kids movie next? Like, that'd be hilarious. Like, that'd be great.
He's doing another movie called Stream, which is out. Which is a different, similar thing where it's like a serial killer or like a killer going after a group of people. But that one, I believe, it was released in August.
I wouldn't mind him. Like, I don't think there's anything that he could bring his twist to without, like someone else mentioned, him I think you said, getting pushback from the studio, right? I would rather see him kind of like take an idea or a story that's already out there and adapt it his own way. Like, put his own,
like, have him do a live action Uzumaki.
Something like that, right? Like, I'd rather he do that. I think his talents are better suited for that than, say, directing. Actually, you know what? He might be able to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre a little bit of justice.
I think he could do Evil Dead, but frankly, that's just because the most recent one sucked so bad that I want someone to follow up off Fede Alvarez's good remake. So,
are you talking about Evil Dead Rise?
Evil Dead Rise, yeah.
You didn't like that?
I like it as a horror film. It's a shitty Evil Dead film.
It's not, to me, it's not an Evil Dead film. It's just in the Evil Dead universe.
Right.
I haven't seen a single Evil Dead movie I didn't like. I think I love them all. I think they're all great.
I actually think he would do well with like a remake of Army of Darkness, because he could add the campiness, but mix it well with the horror. With how well Art does.
I see where we're going with this, but you say remake of Army of Darkness, and Bruce Campbell says he's retired from the role. So no, you can't do.
Yeah, I know you can't do without, but I'm just saying, like, if in my life, like, if that's what I would choose for him to do, because like the scene where he overhears the podcast girl Mia like talking about how she just wants to be in the presence of evil, and just David able to just like have these expressions through prosthetics and make people laugh with, even though how sadistic art is, I think is great. And I think it would do well with that IP translating over to, but
I see, me personally, like, I mean, obviously, yeah, if he made a Friday the 13th or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you're obviously assuming it's going to be balls to the wall, super gory. But I think, like, to showcase some range, like, I'd rather him do like a PG remake of Monster Squad. Like just, you know, like, let's see what he can really do without, let's see what he can do without gore. Let's see how, you know, then we can establish if he's a good filmmaker, you know, because I see it's there.
You want him to take the George Miller route, go from Mad Max to fucking Happy Feet.
Happy Feet. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's see if you could do it. Yeah, for real. Because I mean, and then go back to Terrifier and shit after you're done doing your family film, you know, because it'd just be hilarious.
I know we're long overdue for another live action Scooby Doo movie. So
yeah. I mean, now we're thinking outside the box a little. Yeah,
I kind of like that idea because why not? And it would sell tickets because people would be like, "Fucking Damien Leone doing Scooby Doo." Fuck, I'm in.
Also, yeah, is the gore like your only gimmick? You know, like take away the gimmick, take away the gore. Let's see what you can, if you can run with it. You know, and I bet he could. I mean, because I remember not being excited about this movie. I was obviously excited when I heard it was a Christmas movie, but I got really excited when I just saw like some of the frames, like I said, anamorphic widescreen. Like it was just a picture of her, Sienna in the mall, and I was like, okay, this already. I could already tell just from this one frame, it looks so much more professional. You know, cinematography wise than the previous two, you know, and not that those look bad or anything, but there's just definitely improvements going on.
Yeah, and just like to add on to that, because I know we touched on the lighting a little bit earlier, because like the Terrifier 1 and 2 films, because of the digital shooting, it all had that one color palette to basically the entire film. Like even when in the second one she had the flashbacks to the clown cafe and all that stuff, it was all still within the same color palette. Here there's actually some range, which I quite appreciated. So like just the difference between the flashback 5 years ago to in the insane asylum, it has much more washed out, kind of cooler tones. Then we get to the house. It's very dark. It's very bleak. Then we cut to the house where he's massacring this family. And there's all of these warm tones in here that he's worked in. So
really good color theory.
Yeah, like he's improved so much. And it adds, and this is why like he can kind of get away with not going as heavy or intense on like drawing out the gore, because he seems to improve on all the other things that actually craft this as a movie rather than just like you guys said earlier, being a glorified, you know, kind of like gore demo.
Yeah, totally. This movie was just like I said, like I found myself like really invested in all the breather scenes too, you know, like I liked them. And I think specifically the jump from the final house scene to the uncle picking up the nephew, that there's like that's the only part where I have some gripes with, like there's some missing stuff that I would have liked to have seen. I don't know if that was you know, maybe they elected to not show that because, like, I don't know, it's like we already got to know those characters and we don't want to watch them get brutally murdered. Or maybe, it's a cop out. Like we're going to see that Jonathan's actually still alive in part 4 and it's all just a ruse. I don't know. I mean, either way, it's like, it's good that they didn't answer all their own questions, because then the audience can help them kind of fill out their gaps, like with their critiques, you know, later in the next couple of years. So, and but I would love.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that's what made like the first 2 films so great, is that there was still this air of mystery around them. Even here, even though he's given us a lore background, there's still enough mystery that I don't feel like he's copping out by explaining where artists
it's like
what he's seeing.
Dude, like I said, Metalocalypse. Like at the end of each season, you'll see like little like, oh, there's like something bigger brewing here, and then next season we'll see more of that big war going on that's brewing, and then by the time the final movie happens of a Metalocalypse, you're like, this is one of the craziest series ever made. You know, it's so insane. And I think that's where Terrifier is going. Like I said, if
bringing up Metalocalypse, I'm actually wearing my shirt from when I fucking saw them live last year.
Nice.
It's a good show. But like, I'm wearing my my Baby Metal Death Clock.
I was definitely getting Metalocalypse vibes watching this third one. Like, it's definitely reminding me of that. Same with The Stand. But yeah, I mean, like I said, part 4, maybe even part 5, I don't know. But like, eventually, I want to see her go to like Sienna go to hell. Literally go to hell and rescue her niece or cousin. Like that would be awesome. But yeah, of course.
You say that this is a series I wouldn't mind if it gets so ridiculous we eventually have like Terrifier in space.
Oh yeah,
dude, I'm like picture this. He fucking hops
Terrifier
on
in
one
the
of
hood.
Elon Musk's rockets, goes up to the International Space Station, or maybe we got bases on the moon by that point, and Art's killing motherfuckers in 0G. I'm
Dude,
so down.
When we get to part 10, Terrifier X.
Just name the next one. Terrifier Goes to Hell. I mean, here we go.
Totally.
The reason why this photo is brought up because last night after seeing 2 again, I feel the Art Clown Cafe is based off these t-shirts because I've been looking for it and I'm pretty sure I've seen Sienna's like hairstyle and like the overalls and stuff on as one of these characters on these t-shirts that you'll see like Let's Summon Demons where it's this art style. I feel like this is much of an influence for that. So
I can get on board with that, yeah.
One thing I wanted to bring up because you brought it up, Bex, you shared it in our group chat, was this movie is being protested. Dun dun dun.
Don't mind it.
And I just want to say, as a Christian, I think this is just ridiculous because, like, we live in a country that people are supposed to enjoy things, like it's freedom of expression, like just don't go see the movie. If you are that much of a protest against it, just don't see it.
You know, I don't even think it's like that. It's this movie doesn't really disgrace anything. Like it's not taking the characters and intentionally shitting on Christianity or Christmas. Like there's actually a very strong family togetherness theme throughout this entire film.
She is
Sienna's
the embodiment of the angel that's supposed to beat the darkness. This is technically
it is literally
it's
pro-Christianity, exactly. Like I said, it's like the Stand. It's like the Stand where you have the ultimate battle of good and evil, and good hopefully triumphs. We don't want evil to triumph in this movie. We want Art to lose, you know? I mean, he's evil for sure.
So like I don't understand this because it's not shitting on anything. And if you watch it's
because they don't watch it. It's because they won't go watch
it.
It's why.
It's
because
like they see the by the way, it's funny this Christian group was like, oh, protesting satanic Santa, as if Santa was a Christian thing to begin with. Like, no, motherfucker, Santa's pretty fucking pagan. Just throwing that out there. As a Christian, like, let's be real, Santa's kind of derivative of a bunch of pagan stuff. So you should really boycott Santa in general if you're a true Christian or whatever you want to fucking claim.
I know a bunch of Catholic and Christian influencers don't even celebrate like the Santa gift giving part of Christmas because they don't think it's part of Christianity.
To be fair,
you know, it's
I think the poster they're probably protesting that. They saw that one poster where it's like Santa Terrifier with the Jesus Victoria, you know, on the lap. You know, that's probably a bit much. But like I said, backstage, like I would see protesters outside of the movie like this, and I'd totally get it. I'd be like, yeah, I mean, this movie's fucking violent for sure. I mean, but at the same time, they got to know that when they're protesting a horror movie like this, it just builds the hype more. You're just going to get more people to see it. So if you wanted to actually
secret Christian horror,
if you wanted to actually
make sure this movie beats Joker.
Yeah, what you should actually do is say, I saw it, it sucked. Don't waste your time. That's how you actually like protest a movie these days. You just say, hey, it sucked. Don't watch it. But instead, when you're outside, this movie is the worst thing ever. You're like, oh, now I got to see it. Now I got to see it, you know?
Speak no evil, don't see it. It sucked.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Yeah, I think it's a little weird. I think probably most of the time these people, like you're saying, just basing off the promos of it, it's very much a good versus evil. And what it brought to me is that one of my favorite book series does the same thing where it's a little bit of like an overall story of good and evil that leaves little Easter eggs throughout each book. And then towards the end of the book series, as it's about to be capped off in the next 3 books, is like full-blown war going on, but you only get hints of it throughout the first couple of books, which I like.
It's what made the first 5 seasons of Game of Thrones so great. You get like little hints of the magic.
Yeah, it made the first 5 seasons of Supernatural good is the slow build, and then everything after season 5 is non-canon fanfic. But you know,
right.
But I also think in the movie when we get the Virgin Mary pulling on that demon back, I mean that's again, it's the good over triumph of evil, right?
Yeah,
having evil in control. And I think this is the last time I've seen anybody protest a movie was the Da Vinci Code.
Real quick, since you brought it up, because we didn't touch on that scene where she does see the demon blacksmith or whatever making her armor and the sword, right? I actually did you guys have a take on that? I imagine it'll get revealed in the 4th one, but I kind of saw this as like this is the angels kind of taking advantage of or capturing the worst of the worst from hell and using it in the fight between good and evil.
It is Operation Paperclip for heaven.
Yeah.
Like
Am I wrong?
Yeah, like that's just how I interpreted it, right? Because why else would you have kind of that master in the kind of Mother Mary getup and again, like that leap kind of like ties in nicely to the whole good and evil, Sienna being kind of an angel warrior for good and all that stuff, and her developing also her superhuman powers by the end of the third film. So I was just if anyone else
I mean, this is not in the movie. This is just in general truth. But if you want to destroy evil, you have to A, understand evil, and B, be capable of committing acts of righteous violence. It's the sad fact of life. And you know, that's kind of what I was getting that vibe. I wouldn't have been surprised if that was like some kind of a demented angel blacksmith. Like maybe that's, but the idea that it's like using demons to, you know, harness, like who better to understand how to destroy demons than other demons, you know?
Exactly.
So yeah,
exactly.
But also just this idea that you're it's like building up to something way bigger than just this killer clown movie, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I have a tinfoil hat about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Follow me.
Hold on.
Okay.
Proceed.
So, in the second movie, it's alluded that her father killed himself, right?
Killed
himself by running into. So, in Christianity, if you kill yourself, where do you go?
Hell.
Even if you're a good person,
her father here building a sword for her.
This might, this might be her father in some form or something related to that. That's what
I'm here for it.
Kind of thought of, because there's also a scene in this movie where he's discussing that he'll always be with her or watching over her or something. I don't know. It could be his punishment for killing himself.
Yeah. But okay, the only issue, because I like that a lot. The only issue I have with that is that the dad acquired the sword before he died.
But we don't know when. Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
That's the only issue I have with that. Because, like, remembering,
do we know he's building the sword here, though?
I thought the armor was what it was.
The armor, but not the sword.
Not the sword.
Speaking of the armor,
getting an upgrade in the next movie with the armor.
Did anybody else notice that, by the way? And this could be something like super obvious, but the outfit that she's wearing in the final scene is a very like casual, realistic version of the armor that was like drawn in the comic book version. Like, she's got the rose, that thorn crown they put on her, which is similar like the Wonder Woman headband. Her sweater had like the way the design made it look like there was like gold bracelets on it. So she's actually wearing a casual, realistic schoolgirl version of the armor.
Yeah, she's like a Valkyrie, basically.
Color palette.
Yeah, Valkyrie. Yeah.
It's just my kind of theory, because I feel this just alludes to it, because I at first thought it was the sword, but when you point out the armor, I'm like, maybe she's actually getting armor, because remember in the second one she made
the
it
armor
herself.
of God. Yeah, the armor of God, and it explains like why her hands heal, you know, because like that was like a big gripe where you're like, she gets her hands bashed up real good, so how's she gonna wield the sword? But then we see, like, you know, after she slices her hands open,
by the way,
they heal, you know. Huh? Well, yeah, it's all right.
His area of expertise is in practical effects, because the CGI
digital
and the hand healing was not good.
It was okay. But I think, like with the whole, you know, healing your hands, the armor of God, like I said, and it's when the dad drew the picture, he's like, she can't be harmed, you know, when she wears this stuff, you know, she's impervious to damage. It's kind of what happened to her, you know. So she's basically like been blessed by the
that's what I picked up too. And again, this is like one of those things I feel like we'll get the full explanation for in 4, because like we know that Art is being basically controlled by the devil, and that's why he's able to heal himself and not die and all of this stuff. So similarly, there is some angelic or holy being that is watching over Sienna, because she is supposed to be a vessel of sorts for either corruption or possession, and her father kind of had the inside.
What do you mean Art's being controlled by the devil?
So like we know that Art is not a demon, because that's what that whole little exposition dump was in the campus church, right? So Art is just, he's a vessel for the demon, because he was once a serial killer essentially, and and the devil wants to keep spreading evil and chaos on Earth, sort of deal.
But when you say control, do you mean like because I thought it was like he's more of an agent of the devil, not being controlled by. He's more.
Oh, okay, yeah, no.
Like,
so
he technically has free will. He's choosing his victims. He's doing what he wants.
Yes.
It's
So, like, in that sense, like, art does have. So I guess when I say controlling, I mean that the devil is using art for another purpose, which is to find other vessels, right? And like Victoria is one of those vessels. They want Sienna as one of those vessels. But yes, Art himself is largely is autonomous. He has
yeah. So we're on the same page then. I just wanted to make sure because the word control threw me off. I was like, okay, wait.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, because I see a lot of people asking in the comments if they can watch it online and stuff. This is being released in theaters today. We all saw it pre-screening, not pre-screening, but we all saw the
early
viewing of it. Thank you. Previews of it last night. Two of us saw the double feature of it. I don't know if it's available online. If it is, it's probably a really bad cam.
There's a crappy cam version on there.
And honestly, look, I'm the first one to tell people to hit the high seas. Don't high seas this. This is an indie movie, like $5 million budget.
See it in a theater with other people that are also
so much fun.
With you.
Yeah, it's so much. This movie is definitely meant to be seen with a crowd of people screaming,
a crowd of strangers.
Laughing. Yeah, just like having a good time in theaters. So I recommend you guys do go see it in theaters. Plus,
dude, after the movie was over, I had a whole ass conversation with two hot chicks. I didn't even fucking get the names or numbers out. I was just talking to them about the movie, and then we all went our separate ways. Like,
Leon confirmed gay. Didn't get their numbers.
Well,
I want to see this as a
high. I know
high.
for sure had a boyfriend. The other one, I was like, I don't know how old you are because of the way women look nowadays. I wasn't really willing to risk it.
I also want to say I want to see this movie as a high grossing film. As an indie production, this movie deserves to be a high grossing film of 2024. So if you can, go see it in theaters. Really, go support your indie movies.
There's I don't know if you
Night with the Devil, Long Legs, and this. What a good fucking year for indie horror
Strange
movie.
Darling too,
dude. The Substance, Strange Darling, the Front Room. I've been telling everyone to watch the Front Room with Randy.
I can't. Both of you. Wait, okay.
Did Strange Darling make money? I know it was good, but did it make money? Because I wasn't aware that Strange Darling actually did well.
Strange Darling and it was worth seeing in theaters too. By the way, that was another one. Like I understand seeing all these big productions like Dune and. I hate to say this, people are gonna go see the Joker and stuff like that, but like go see them, like go enjoy them. And someone says no, they should pay me to see it. I mean, I think everybody wishes that, Michael. I think everybody does.
I think it might have been harder if you watched 2 at home, but since you saw the double feature, Nadia, I think you probably would appreciate just the overall quality in sound design, movie over movie as well, because like the first 2 films had that very like what's like a stale just kind of like minimum for all of it, and then they throw in the exaggerated kind of like squelching effects and whatnot. That still was here, but like there was actual dynamic sound to each scene, which I quite appreciated, and it made the theater experience even better. Like when the shower scene happens, at least what I noticed in my theater is that as Art is chainsawing the girl in the shower, you can actually hear from side to side where the chainsaw sound is coming, which I thought was a really nice touch. So the production quality, if you're already a Terrifier fan, it's like you're going to see it just like dialed up to 100, which makes it even more worthwhile seeing on a big screen.
I kind of want to go see it again, but in DFX, because I got a standard theater for it. Because of the double feature, they just kind of threw us in the back, but it still was fun. And even to that, the lighting, I love when people know how to light their nights. When you know how to light your nights, I'll give you an extra star on that one.
So that stupid like blue filter daytime thing.
I've been watching
daytime thing, or just like HBO who doesn't know how to do it, who doesn't know how to actually properly light their stuff. But I think it's because mostly of it is CGI. Go ahead, Enzo.
Dude, I've been rewatching the Goosebumps show, and those night scenes are like horrific lighting, like pitch black. You can barely make out what's happening, and it's like it's common with all the episodes. I don't understand. So yeah, expect some discussion about that around Halloween.
No, Darren, that's us. The four of us have seen it. One scene I want to talk about is the Santa Claus scene.
The bar scene?
The bar?
Yeah.
I wonder why we had glossed over that.
I know. We're kind of going out of order, but that's okay.
Like, there's no iconic kills. Santa Claus gets fucking like liquid nitrogen. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
irony too.
That was pretty cool. I like the interact because I really thought Art was gonna let Santa go. For a second.
Me too.
I did too.
I thought,
also,
he's just
the
a big
build up to it, the build up to that scene, because the prior scene is him building the liquid nitrogen device, and he's so proud of it, and he's like stroking it, and he uses it on the rat, and honestly, him bashing the rat fucked with me. I was like, oh my god, that was harsh. And then he like picks it up and kisses the liquid nitrogen. I was like, I fucking love this bitch. And then we get to the scene where he's gonna use it in the bar. He pulls out the gun. I'm like, okay, it's pretty cool. I do love, like we were saying earlier, horror
It's so
movie villain not
shocking.
afraid to use a gun. He's done it in every movie thus far.
He's
But that means he's
gangster.
got a liquid nitrogen Santa. And then when he did it, oh, the effects were so fucking good.
Yeah. I also loved before it started, like, first of all, the first time you see Clint Howard, it just cuts to him and he's like, I'd fuck her, or whatever he says. Is like,
Yeah.
and then what else? Oh yeah, then those two drunk girls were leaving the bar and Art comes in and just pushes them over and like,
Shoves
runs
them,
right
yeah.
past them. That was so good. And he
This
lets
is-
them
Those
live,
girls
obviously.
will never know how lucky they are.
Yeah,
by the way.
exactly.
This is like another one of those instances where you can see Damien Leone has improved as a storyteller, because like we've all known that Art has those like silly kind of clownish behaviors, but like he still managed to surprise, I think, all of us with that
Yeah.
entire scene. And like it's just the caricature, like the facial expressions, the body movements too. It's like David Howard Thornton as well has upped his game, because every time I see him on screen as Art, I feel like I'm getting like a new glimpse into this character's personality, which I didn't think was possible. This many entries in. I don't know if you guys kind of felt the same way.
We were able to find out from that one scene without any dialogue that he had never had alcohol before.
Right, there you go.
Like not only because he doesn't just spit it in the guy's face to fuck with him. When you look at Art's face, he's like recoiling, like, the taste, like, it was, that was so fucking funny.
He's very childish, like childlike, it's cool. I like it.
It was great. I think that was probably the highlight scene of the movie, that entire, because you got all of kind of like those recognizable kind of like icons or horror actors there, and on top of that, Art just being like Art, like peak Art there. It's great. And it doesn't feel overly drawn out. Like it very easily could have been like a really lengthy scene, but it was just right. It was just right.
It's a good balance. He balances being very human to being very out of this world. Between it. Like he could easily be a clown in a circus, and I wouldn't think otherwise. And then you get this like demonic, you forget between the scenes, like he's very comedic and fun, and you're like, oh, this is just Art being Art. And then he's sawing some guy's gooch in half. Like it's a very good balance.
I also like when Santa's tied up and he's got the Santa suit on and he's like, it looks good on you. You never look better. And he's like, look, I got to tell you something. I'm not actually Santa, okay? Like he starts telling him his name and he's got kids and grandkids, and then Art's like doing like like this and to him, and he like freezes his hands off and breaks them and shit. Is awesome.
When somebody cuts me off in traffic, I don't.
At the very end, when he rips out, and that's the beer he's using the whole rest of the movie. Like, oh my god, it was so sick.
When somebody cuts me off in traffic, I don't give them the middle finger. I do the boo kind of thing, like, ooh, yeah, you got in front of me, and it pisses them off even more. So it makes them mad even more. Yeah, I think the pacing in this is way better than the second. I think the kills, well, again, I don't think it measures to the bedroom scene. I think it overtops, and the dialogue's very good. The last one last scene I want to talk about is the end, the climax scene. But is there anything before we get into that you guys want to touch on?
Let me read the movie in the mental real quick.
Just on the note of Art acting like a child, because now it's all coming together now. So Art had killed all of those children is what it's kind of alluding to, right? So maybe Art in his human life was quite emotionally repressed, and that's why he reacts the way he does to Santa Claus in this film. So like you said, we are getting a human Art, but we're getting human Art pre-demonic revival and whatnot sort of deal.
Is it?
I like that.
And really, anyone that saw Joker too, but I know Vexed because I watched your review of it. By the way, your review was fucking fantastic. It's kind of. Do you find it hilarious that we were able to have a more drawn out, lengthy, and in-depth discussion about the character arc and history of art than fucking
Yes.
Joker.
Yes.
I think he should play Joker. I know that's recently came out that he said he would love to play Joker. I think he could do it.
He
I
looks
think
like the Arkham Asylum games Joker, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Like, he could pull it off.
How much of
I
that's the prosthetics, though? Because those are really good
Yeah.
prosthetics.
It is a lot of prosthetics. In fact, that's what I was saying. Like, if you ever had to recast art, I don't think that would be hard to do, because it's, pretty much everything about his visual appearance is, prosthetics and makeup. It's a mold, So, I mean, you just technically need another skinny actor to do it. And it's kind of like I'm saying, like, I'm imagining like Art the Clown being around for like 10 to 20 movies, like Jason Voorhees. You probably have multiple people play him. So I don't think it would be a big issue. And has this actor played Art the Clown in all like 5 or 6 iterations?
No, he hasn't.
No.
There was a
Okay.
different actor in the first 2, and then just between All Hallows Eve and now, it's David Howard Thornton, and they've actually evolved the look through these 4 films. So Terrifier 2 is the makeup there is the version we get in 3. So I think that's where they perfected Art's look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was a different actor for the
First 2. You can tell.
You can tell.
Yeah, it's
his face is a little fatter, a little whiter.
Yeah.
I thought that was just a matter of, hey, they have a budget now, so the images look cleaner and whatnot. I didn't realize it was literally a different person.
Nah,
You can
different
tell
person.
even by the eyes. I kindly agree with the fact that it's a prosthetic. You could get somebody maybe recast it, but you still have to capture David's ability to express through it without being able to speak, and his body language.
The hard part.
And that's really, really hard. It's why Kane Hodder and I can't think of who played the Shape for Michael Myers played these characters for so long, because they can capture these things
nonverbal acting.
With
I mean,
a
who
mask
could do it?
on or
I don't know.
prosthetic.
Nothing comes to mind.
So the final scene of this movie, I was very surprised by the fact that basically Sienna loses in this movie. But then again, she wins in the last one, she loses in this one, so I guess it's the redemption in the 4th one. Hopefully, we'll see. Right?
That's why I see this as, when 4 comes out, I'm very certain that you'd be able to watch 3 and 4 together as one long film. So I don't see her as losing, especially like we had mentioned before. It's such a sharp end to that scene that you expect more, right?
Yeah, it's like the Empire Strikes Back treatment here.
Yes.
I was gonna make actually, thank you for doing it for me.
That's a really good comparison of it. I liked the fact that she does lose everything. I mean, even down to the fact that she loses her cousin at the end of it. Which, no offense, that character's I cannot. If that kid snooped, I swear to God, let me tell you, I'm the oldest of 7. My sister did that shit when we were younger. I beat the shit out of her.
Read your diary? Yeah. That's
okay, so I was hating that at first as well. However, they set up that she does that really early in the film, which gives the foreshadowing, and let's be real, her snoopy tendencies are kind of what saved the fucking day. I liked the character of Gabby. I thought Gabby was a sweetheart. Maybe it's because it's reminded me of because I'm the oldest of 5, so it reminded me of some of my younger siblings, like always following me around and wanting to do everything I did. I always fucking hated it as a kid, found it annoying. As an adult, I'm like, oh, that was endearing. So I liked Gabby. I really did.
It's because you're an older brother. When you're an older sister, you beat the shit out of your sister.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like, reading the diary is a big no-no. But I do love the idea that this young actress, starred in this movie in a big role and probably went to the red carpet premiere and saw the movie. That to me is like awesome in itself. Like having kids so heavily involved in these horror movies is awesome, because kids should be a little desensitized. I think everyone should be desensitized to violence and stuff, because like when there comes life and death actual situations, like you can't be crying or fainting or losing your mind. You got to have a couple people that are like, all right, like let's take care of this, level-headedness, and I think being exposed to like super violent, campy, fun movies like this kind of helps with that. I really think it makes the world a better place. I don't think people are more prone to committing acts of violence when they watch movies like this, but I do think that you're able to like cope with violence better, So
it's an interesting take, and so I don't know if I 100% would agree, because there were like 9-year-olds at my screening last night, obviously with a parent that just wanted to go see a movie and didn't have the ability to get a babysitter, and to me, and Leon and I had this
To be
discussion.
fair, maybe they were afraid the babysitter was going to be a killer. You know, they can their kids can get Art the Clown while they're seeing Art the Clown. Like,
even when I was young, that age, even younger, I saw horror movies. But what horror movies I saw was like Child's Play, Michael Myers, and stuff. Well, violent for the time does not even touch the amount of gore and violence in these movies.
True, but I would say if you're taking kids here because you don't want a babysitter, that's wrong. If the kids don't want to be there, that's wrong. But if you're like me, like a 10, 12-year-old who is obsessed with that kind of shit,
no, you
I
can tell these kids did not want to be there. Like,
if the kids want to be there, take them. If you know your kids better than anybody. If your kids can handle Hellraiser and Terrifier, then bring them. You know, whatever. It's a fun movie. But if you're just going to scar them, then yeah, you're going to deal with that later. It's going to be on them later when your kids are having nightmares every night. You did that to them. So it's, you know, the parents are going to be the ones that ultimately suffer more.
These fucking kids put their parents in a home later. It's like, oh, we're old and tired. Take care of us, Sally. Sorry, when I was 9 years old, you took me to Terrifier 3. Off to the home, bitch. Like,
I'll never forgive you for that night. Yeah.
Well, I mean, even with this movie, there's violence towards children in the movie. Again, I reference back to like Michael Myers and teenagers, young adults. It's a little different when you're a 9-year-old and you see a teenager just going through this versus like even the opening scene where, you know, you get a very young boy being hacked away and you see the body parts and stuff.
Like, oh, really? Did they go soft? They're not even showing it. And then no, because Terrifier 1
the
or 2
mother's
would
reaction,
him hacking the boy up. I was like, oh, this is corporate. It's gone soft. But then
again,
the mom opens the door and we see. I was like, okay, they were just waiting for the reveal. Well done.
Like I said, that's the real terror. It's not the terror of watching a kid get dismembered by an axe. It's watching mom find her son chopped up into little pieces. That's the actual terror. You know, that's where the real scares come in, is that emotional horror, you know. It's bad. You know, when you try to put yourself in the shoes of these characters during specific scenes, that's where it's like you get like your stomach gets like upset, you know, because it's like it's not the actual violence. It's like imagining seeing someone you love this happening in front of them is like, you know, what do you know, it's like an American Werewolf in London when he has the nightmare about watching the werewolf Nazis come in and kill his whole family in front of him. Like they light his whole house on fire. It's like, what do you do besides just sit there and shit your pants, basically? You know, it's horrifying.
What did we think of the ending? I'm kind of mixed about the ending on this. Again, I'm with you, Vex. I think a fourth one will help kind of retcon this. But two things annoyed me. One, the whole Jonathan being supposedly dead off camera. And why didn't Sienna just jump in the hole?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking would happen. Yeah. Also, the bus scene. Like, I mean, if the fourth one picks up on the bus, like that would be cool.
Probably will.
I hope so. But yeah, I mean, definitely that's what I thought was going to happen. I thought like as soon as her hands healed and she looks out the window, I thought she was going to grab that, or I guess the sword's down in hell with her. I thought she was just going to just like do like a swimming dive like into the hole. But did you find out that the hellhole has somehow sealed up and she just like, you know, face plants on like the ground underneath the house, you know? I don't know. Yeah, definitely could have. I mean, that's how you know it's a good movie, when you want more of it. You know, it's like I wish it had a few extra scenes here, and I wish this kind of was tied up here. You know, so I mean, but it doesn't. You know, all the questions that you kind of leave pondering. It's good. You know, we have a few years to think about it. You know, while I guess the crew kind of, you know, find their footing on what they want to do with the next installment. You know, there's a lot of options. You know, it's
we're supposed to see the next installment probably by next year. That's
awesome.
Really? Reported. Yeah. Leon said that there could be a potential that 2025 sees Terrifier 4.
And this one takes place on Easter or St. Patrick's Day.
Well, it would make sense during Easter, right? Because if we're staying with the whole Christianity, good versus evil,
Easter would be cool.
Rebirth and stuff. Yeah, it would make sense. The Virgin Mary in this one and stuff. But
if we're going to pick up right where we left off, then maybe New Year's Eve, a big party, you know, that'd be fun.
I didn't think of that. Yeah, that's a good point too. Vex, what did you think of the ending? I'm curious to, because you're really a Art the Clown simp. Or she's gone.
Vex looking at this that's still on screen. She's like, wood.
Yeah,
wood.
She's muted. She's probably stuck
this
away.
Was what did you think? Too.
So of the ending in terms of
the whole scene. Yeah. The whole ending of it, from the moment she gets knocked out and then wakes up and then Aunt gets killed in front of her, all that kind of stuff.
Well, the fucking violence against the aunt was I was handling it pretty well at first, dude. Slit the throat, the rats crawl out of the throat hole, and then Art starts stomping on them. I was like, fucking Christ. Like okay, so that was awesome.
Killing the rats was a bit much.
I like that they're building up the story in this very biblical way, and there's absolutely potential there. However, again, I've liked these films since the first one, and I'm wondering if they are going too over the top with what I like about all the Art the Clown stuff is how simplistic a lot of it is. It's and so by going the big route of a fucking portal to hell just opened up in the living room, it's like there's a lot of room for error there in the future because that's such a departure from what this started off as. But that doesn't mean it won't work. I mean, read the first Harry Potter book, then read the 7th. Pretty fucking wide departure. So, I mean, if it's done
I disagree with you again, because it started off as a demon and a portal to hell. If we go back to the 9th circle,
I know, but I'm just saying, if you look at the film, if you look at the 3 films, I would wager is what most folks know about. Like I get what you're saying, and you're technically correct because there are the short films, which I need to watch. I haven't actually seen them, and so just if you're looking in the context of a general moviegoer and they see this, it could come off as out of the blue.
Well, like, because Sienna kind of goes through to like a purgatory of sorts in the second film, and it worked well within the context of that. Even here, with like the flashback to the demon blacksmith and then the whole opening up in the, like, I very much feel like I get where you're coming from because we have seen that happen so many times where it's like they extend an idea and it kind of diminishes what made something great. I do kind of have like blind, right? I kind of have blind faith that Damien Leone, maybe this wasn't originally planned to be like a whole franchise of films, but I like where he's going, and I think 3 has shown that he's willing to adapt as a creative in that sense as well. So that because
I have hope. Like I do have hope, and as long as he stays the route that he has stayed thus far of I'm not taking big studio money, I'm staying indie, we're going my vision, then even if it doesn't. Even if it is a better idea than it is an execution, I will at least very much be able to respect the art and what he's doing as a filmmaker. I do think that because they're expanding the scope, that expands the room for error. So it's a worry, but it's also one that I'm less worried about with this than I would be with like some big studio project.
I
liked the ending. I liked the movie. I just, I didn't see this level of ending coming, and so like when you've seen the first 2, then you see this one. I get what you're saying about her going into purgatory and stuff in the second, but I mean, let's be real. This is happening like a hole to hell opened up in their living room on Christmas Eve. That's a pretty big leap from almost anything we've seen in these movies thus far.
I disagree. I don't think it's that big of a leap.
Yeah,
and it makes sense in context. To be fair, like it's like doing math without showing your work. Like for someone that knows what's going on, for them it's not a leap. But if you're, you're the type of individual that needs to see all the ones carried and all the pluses and minuses, like people don't rationalize how you can just do all this math in your head.
If we get rid of like All Hallows Eve and we get rid of the 9th circle, if we just focus on the trilogy of Terrifier films, the implication that Art is a demon or there's something demonic about his nature has been heavily applied, and the fact that
maybe I'm misspeaking because I agree with that. What I mean is, from what the films show, what they're willing to show as opposed to imply. Previously, there's a lot of implications. Well, this one actually said show. Don't just imagine, let's show. But and like that's what is different about this one.
It did show us in the previous films with kind of like Art's wounds and stuff healing, with Victoria giving, birth to the Art head and whatnot, to Sienna, the portal opening at the circus show. Like I feel like a more, like, just to kind of counter your statement a little bit, it's that these films have done more to allude, but it's only shown when absolutely necessary. So I think because it is like alluded to so much, and then we suddenly get a show when it's not, like they always save those things. I think maybe that is what might be off-putting for a general audience.
I'm not saying it's bad. It was just jarring. That's all I'm trying to say. Is that it was jarring. That's
what
not
would
bad.
be better. Like, what would be better that it, like, because we know that art is like supernatural of some kind. I mean, is it better that he's just some kind of zombie like Jason Voorhees, or is it better that it actually is this big, grander scale
I think
heaven versus hell thing
is good. Again, I definitely don't want to come off as thinking it was bad. It just when I went into Terrifier 3, when I sat down in the theater, I thought we're gonna see this demonic clown kill a bunch of motherfuckers, go after Sienna, this, that. I was not expecting the climax to be a literal portal to hell in the living room. Those sorts of things, like when Victoria gave birth to Art's head and whatnot. That's like, we physically know it happened, but there's questions. Oh, how did that happen? Why? What's going on? Where's the connection here? This one actually gave us some semblance of answers while opening even more questions. I wasn't ready for answers to be given, I guess, because there's so much that's been kept into the dark up to this point.
Oh, okay. So I think this is just then like a difference of interpretation here, because I didn't feel like this was opening the door for more questions. I felt all of this was in line with kind of what Terrifier has been doing and what it's dropped. So like I didn't feel like this is weird or anything. Like that was just my interpretation. I was like, I'm happy with where this is going, and it works for everything else I've seen so far of Art the Clown.
Yeah, I like where it's going as well, mind you. I just want to make that clear.
No, I got that. Yeah,
I interpreted similar to Vex mostly because I mean, being recent to the Terrifier.
Well, women are smarter than men. Whoop-dee.
Well,
whoa! Let's not make statements like that. Okay.
When I watched the first one, I was DMing Bex, and I was like, "What the fuck does this mean? Is he a serial killer? Is he a demon?" So we had like a whole conversation. So in my head, it kind of makes sense that we are building our way up to eventually heading to hell. Because to me, I interpret the second one, the art cafe, as like a version of hell, like one of the circles of hell. So like for that thing to open, that hole in the wall to open up, the hole in the floor to open up again, similar to it did in second. I was like, oh, it's another portal to hell, like maybe a different circle and stuff. So that's what I
haven't seen the second one in a long time, but when that happened, and when that happened in the second one, I remember what I thought at the time was, is this real or is this in her? Is this in her head? And so this movie more confirms it's real, as opposed to it could go either way.
But is it real though? Like it's these movies.
Nah, Gabby got stuck into a portal. That's pretty fucking real.
But we don't know. We don't know. She could be dreaming. Like the best things about this movie is that it allows the audience to be smart and interpret how they would like it and fill in the gaps how your imagination does so. It does not lay out everything on the table for you. Yes, we get a little bit more answers of like where Leone is going with the lore on this, but we're still like interpreting it. Does it mean hell? Does it mean purgatory? What does this, like what's the meaning behind the guy building the armor and the Virgin? Like there's different interpretations.
Well, and that's what I mean. Even though it answered things, it also added so many questions that those are the types of things like, okay, but now we've got this lore about the armor.
It allows you to be smart though. He's allowing you to be smart and fill it in for yourself instead of saying, yeah, this is the Bible. Like this is the Bible of Terrifier. Just read it. You'll know exactly what's going on.
This is what like European horror does, which is why European horror is so much more enjoyable than American horror, because it's not spoon feeding you enough that you know like what the story is and who these characters are, but you can try and fill in the, like I agree with you. I think it was like it was all real. I feel like the instances where like Sienna's dreaming or whatever is down to kind of poor editing, because it's especially in the second one, it's never really clear.
Oh, so what's if that's the case, that'd be so funny that I accidentally read too much into the second one, and really it's just kind of a poorly made film at times.
Yeah, because for sure, like for me, I interpreted as that portal opening was 100% real, because she even buried the sword there and whatnot, and she did get stabbed and resurrected and all this stuff. So I interpreted that. The second Clown Cafe thing is real. The first part, when we see it, when she's in the Clown Cafe, that was definitely like a dream or like a premonition of some sort. So
What do you guys this question, because I'm not a metal fan, death metal and black metal reference within the kills?
I mean, I'm not either, but this movie's definitely made by metalheads, for sure. Like I can tell you right now, I could have a good idea that Damien Leone listens to Norwegian black metal. He's probably a fan of Mayhem and a few others, like, so I mean, I wouldn't put it past him at all. As far as specific references,
I didn't catch the references in the kills, and I am a metalhead. However, I did catch references in the dialogue. So,
like what?
I mean, they openly talk about Jonathan being a metalhead. Like,
yeah. Also,
which I
some
call
other good.
Bullshit. There's no way that scrawny little fuck. Look, he either was never into metal and he was a poser, or he's still into it and he's just trying to fit in college now. Because you'll be that much of a whiny little bitch without some sort of like creative, angry outlet. Just throwing that out.
To be fair, Jonathan was 12 in the second movie, so it is possible that he was a whiny little bitch and liked metal.
I'm not a metal fan. I just caught the Black Christmas, the Silent Night, Deadly Night, the Shining, the house to me looks
references.
Clint Howard is in Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 and 4. So that was a good one.
Like Tom Savini on there, the Godfather of special effects.
That was so good. I didn't believe it was him at first.
Oh, I knew right away. I know that dude's
I
face.
See all the plastic surgery on his face.
it's more like Coke bloat is what he's got going on. The alcohol and Coke bloat.
Well, because he was in the In Search of Darkness documentary DVDs, and he was looking fucking rough in those. Then when you see him in this, I'm like, is that Tom?
If you got a nice pair of tits,
he looks too good to be Tom Savini. And then we're getting to the credits, and it's like featuring Tom Savini. I was like, holy fuck, it was him.
I got to meet him once.
Sex machine.
Once when I was a booth girl for some horror convention, and if you've got a nice pair of boobs, he'll talk to you. He likes it. Yeah. So anyway,
cool.
Oh, man.
All right. Let's give final thoughts. How about that? We'll do that. Enzo, I'll start with you, man. Final thoughts on Terrifier 3 and your rating.
Well, as a movie, I mean, these movies, definitely leave something to be desired. But as a gore fest horror film, like, they're top of the line. They're amazing. And like I said, Art the Clown has definitely solidified himself in the zeitgeist of horror movies. He's up there with, Chucky and Jason and Freddy and Pinhead. He's up there. He's up there big time, especially now modern day. And I'm glad that, like I said, we got super violent horror movies that the whole family can enjoy now. We got these movies that are just like really.
We don't encourage these for kids. We don't.
I don't either. If your kids are cool, then you could. Yeah, your kid would be the coolest.
Viewer
kid
discretion is advised.
Yes, viewer discretion.
Yeah. But I just like how we're all getting a little, we're getting a little bit more brave and bold with these movies. I loved it. But I would give it a solid like 7 or 8 out of 10 if we're comparing it to just like all movies. I'd put it like probably a top 5 of the year I've seen, just because of the whole theater experience I had. It was such a great time. It was fun. It's like going to Six Flags. It was great. Highly recommended.
Leona.
Enzo actually said something very similar to me. I think specifically this film is what has solidified Art the Clown as being now part of the horror pantheon. He is up there with Chucky. He is up there with Jason, with Freddy. Like the first 2 films, cult hits. People that liked them really liked them. Like in horror circles, there was this talk, hey, this could be the next. No, I think after this film, and it's going to get enough mainstream success that, people are literally going to start buying Art the Clown shit at a hot fucking topic. But whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But exactly. Like if once your serial killer horror icon makes it a hot topic, you've made it. You're on the Mount Rushmore of horror, and
everyone knows who Art the Clown is, even if they haven't seen the movies.
Right. Now, as far as the quality of the film itself, once again, I think Enzo nailed it. 7 or 8, definitely in my top 5 of the year. I would say that I had more fun dissecting this in a group setting than I did like Long Legs with Vex and whatnot, for example. That's just because this is inherently a more fun movie. Long Legs, I think, was like a better made film. It was a far more cerebral film, and so it's really hard to categorize. All the indie horror films I've seen this year have all been wildly different from one another, which is a good thing. Like there's no lacking for variety in indie horror right now, which is really great to see. But by the same token, man, this is just pure fucking fun, and it's got a couple minutes that did not, even as a gore hound, I was like, yep, nope, that's not good, don't like that, and that's exactly what I want to feel in movies like this. So A+ in that regard.
Very nice. Vex, you look like you disagree with him, but go for it, girl.
No, I was just like, how is this guy managing to compare Longlegs and Terrifier 3? Like, they're not even.
You want to know why I did it? To get a rise out of you.
It worked.
You bastard.
I love pressing your buttons, girly.
Terrifier 3. Yeah, this is definitely one of my like, I have a list of top 5s. It's like, objectively, these are good films, right? But they're not necessarily my favorite. But then I have a separate list of like my favorite, like most enjoyable films of the year, regardless of their objective value. And this is definitely like one of my favorites. I was kind of expecting Terrifier 2 again, wherein like it's not a great movie at all, but I had a lot of fun. But here was actually like, oh, here's a fucking movie, and it's also a lot of fun. So I really enjoyed it. I quite like that Damien Leone is not like the ego hasn't gone to his head, and he's willing to learn and evolve as a director and writer, and it really shows. He's found a really good balance here that I hope he continues into the fourth entry in this film, which I hope comes sooner than later now. Yeah, the theater experience was awesome. My theater was filled mostly with like dudes in their 40s and 50s with their buddies. So and they were all just like laughing and oohing and eyeing at scenes. So like it was really fun to see that. My nitpicks really only lie in, like we discussed before, clearly some scenes were edited down or cut out, and I think that's because there is a fourth film that will kind of fill all those gaps in. And then my other gripe was that some of the gore wasn't it wasn't as personal and intimate as some of the previous films, which is why like the bedroom scene and the sawing in half scene, like why that stuff stands out so much. But I do agree with Enzo. Like, if this film does anything, whether you like it or not, it cements that Art the Clown is now officially up there with some of those icons of horror, like Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers. It's great. I really enjoy it. I give it a solid 8 out of 10. Would sit on Santa Art's lap rating.
Welcome to the cult, Nadia. What did you think?
I know. So as some of you know, I was not an Art fan nor a Terrifier fan after the first movie, nor was I up until the third act of the second movie. Third act of the second movie hooked me in. I was intrigued to know more. As somebody who did special effects makeup in Hollywood for like 13 years, I can appreciate somebody because somebody who has an ability to do special effects makeup and then tries to direct and write, usually it doesn't translate well because they're just thinking visually in things. But I think Leon is very talented with his writing. I agree with and I agree with you, Vex. I see that there's a huge upgrowth from the second one to the third one in the dialogue, pacing, and stuff. There's a couple things that I wish would have expanded a little bit more, but I am excited to see the fourth film, and I'm excited to see it take place in hell, basically. I agree with you also that the gore didn't seem personal in this one, but it was still fun. It was not sick to my stomach like you text me. I was like, it's all right. But my mind goes to like, how do you do this? Because I've done it. So it doesn't bother me like some normies. But I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. I would give this one. It's fun. I definitely think it's a theater experience. I think you should see it with the crowd. I think you should see it with your friends. I think you should just put on your Terrifier t-shirts, wear the band t-shirt to the concert, and just enjoy yourselves. Don't think too deep into it. So
can I add something to that?
Yeah,
Real quick? I know
go
I'm
ahead.
trying to wrap up, but like, so the part you two specifically, and so I don't think you were really in the chat much while I was going down, but Vex and Nadia, you guys specifically added to the theater experience for me because like you guys were at the double feature, so your intermission was right as I was sitting down for the third one, and so we're like all texting back and forth and like talking and just having fun. And oh, this is what's going on in our theater. Oh, we're excited for this, and this, and throughout all the friends and whatnot I made on YouTube, I've actually not had anything like that up to this point. So that was just really, really cool. It's like, oh, I'm sitting here waiting for the lights to go down, texting my friends, can't wait to talk about it tomorrow. And it did add something to it for me. So
totally.
Yeah, I think this movie is one of those movies. It reminds me of sleepover movies as a kid, where you just put a really like horror, gory movie on in the background. You're having fun, you're laughing, you're crying, you're screaming, and that's what this is. There's no agenda to it. It's a movie to go have fun with your friends with, and that's what I would recommend it for. On that note, I'm gonna let everybody go plug themselves. Enzo, where are you gonna be next, my guy? What's going on with you?
Well, I just had a WeWatch release of the Peter Cushing Island of Terror classic with Adam and Barbara. That's what I do on my channel. We watch a lot of stupid movies. It's like Leon said, watching these horror movies and these other movies with your friends is where it's at. And I like to record these watches and put them on YouTube. We've got like over 100 movies that we've done. And we watched this, I don't know. It's one of those things. It's both. Although that title has not really affected because a lot of the movies I've been releasing lately have been largely unedited. So they're pretty much full length audio commentaries at this point. But yeah, I mean, it's just like watching a lot of stuff. I think we got Chopping Mall coming up next and The Cellar, a few other good horror movies. I know Leon's on a few of them, and Vex, me and Vex famously watched My Demon Lover, which was quite a fiasco to get past copyright for some reason. But yeah, I mean, it's always fun to just, like I said, like Leon said, just watch these movies with friends and just have a good old fun time. So that's kind of what I've been doing on my channel. So yeah, expect that and a bunch of Halloween related live streams this month. Like I said, I might release like a 6-hour long Goosebumps watch along marathon on Halloween. I don't know. That might be fun.
Do it.
So.
Why not? Do it.
Okay.
So it's for somebody out there. Do it.
It's for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Leon, what about you, Mike? Where are you going to be?
Well, normally I do 3 videos a day, almost every day. I didn't do any today because, well, it was make videos or watch this movie last night. I was like, you know what? I respect Nadia so much. Fuck content for the day. Let's go see Terrifier instead. And it was the right choice. So probably 3 videos tomorrow like normal. However, tonight, I've only plugged this once thus far because I've not really want to make a big deal of it. But tonight at midnight Central Time. So do the math yourself for other places. Very, very special episode of my midnight, my Friday night show, Neon Leon, because for those of you that know who Sonia Lisette is, Sonia is a big member of our community, big part of our community. She is a mod for so many of us. She's in all of our chats. She's just an all-around amazing human being, and she's fallen on some hard times recently, so tonight's show is grifting for a cause. She's going to be on the show. Instead of it being a solo show, I'm getting a panel together. She's going to be on there, and all super chats are going to be donated to her to sort of help what she's got going on the back end. So if you need a good deed, show up to my show tonight and let's support Sonia and figure out what's going on with her, get her back into a good stable position, because I don't know where me and Hypno and so many other Angry Badger, where all of our channels would be if not for this bitch always being there. So
I did drop her Twitter link in the chat, because I know on her Twitter you can also, there's information of Cash Apping her. She has that information on there.
Yeah.
Everybody's channel links will be in the description below as well. So please go subscribe to everyone. Also hire Vex for all your editing. Vex, what do you have going on?
Thank you, Nadia. Like, I don't even have to plug myself when you're around. Thank you. I am working on a Terrifier 3 review. I fly back to Canada on Sundays, so like expect that to premiere at 2 p.m. Eastern while I'm on a layover in Atlanta. But yeah, you can look forward to that. I don't think I'm not on anything else for the rest of the week. So just that, you can look forward to my Terrifier 3 review. And thank you.
You know what you're on in 2 weeks? You and Nadia both. We rank in Hollywood hunks in 2 weeks.
Oh
baby.
yeah, I mean I can announce that closer too, right? MMM Monday we are doing the 1987 comedy horror flick Near Dark, which will be fun. That'll be a first time watch for me.
Can you find that anywhere? Because I had to find it.
Yeah, we're sailing the high seas, all of us, for this one.
Got
so
to.
yeah. But yeah, thank you for inviting me to this. And yeah, like Leon, I like being able to it's always fun to discuss like films that everyone has seen, but it's more fun and a genuine experience when you get to discuss films that you were excited for and ended up meeting or exceeding your expectations. So I too was very much like looking forward to this as much as I was looking forward to Terrifier 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't that have been so annoying?
Nosferatu, everybody. Fingers crossed for Nosferatu.
Yeah, wouldn't it have been so annoying if we were all very disappointed by this movie and we were all just like, oh god.
Vaccine,
yeah. All right, for myself, I will be on Gooch this Sunday, Late Night with the Gooch. I should be dropping a video on Smile before Smile 2 comes out and Hellboy. That was what everybody voted for. So I'll be watching Hellboy and breaking that down as well and giving a review. I've moved my Horror Tuesdays to lives now because that seems to be what everybody wants. So catch me every Tuesday discussing horror news. Timing's a little weird right now because I have other streams I'm on, but I'll figure that out. And also, I wanted to thank everybody who voted for me for Faces of Horror. I made the quarterfinalist. They are giving us the weekend off, so there is no voting this weekend. Starts back on Monday. But thank you all so much for doing so. I really appreciate all the support. But as I said, please go subscribe to everybody on this panel. There are awesome content creators. Subscribe to everybody in the chat. They're also awesome content creators. Just subscribe to each other. Let's support each other and build this community. On that note, I hope everybody has a great day. And then, and catch me back here in an hour. I'll be back here in an hour on a live stream for from episode 3 of this recent season. So catch me there. On that note, everybody, where's my video? Hold on. Everybody have a great day. And as always, stay spooky.